Hello, hello, my beautiful, beautiful tribe. I appreciate you for tuning in. I wanted to come and talk to everybody about seasonal depression. Now, me being from Jersey, seasonal depression is something that I am extremely fluent in for many different reasons. When you live in the tri state, you have so much less sun than anywhere else in the States. Um, I'm from Jersey, and you receive winter for the bulk of your year. Every year, you receive winter. So, what that looks like is it starts getting cold for everybody in New Jersey um, after almost in the beginning of October. So at the end, towards the end of September, the tri-state starts cooling down because fall is happening, autumn is happening, the trees start to shed. And then from there, you start to notice that okay, there's no more leaves on the trees. And then it starts to get a little brisk. You start to wear your jean jackets. You start to pull out your leather jackets. The leggings come out, and you got your boots, and it starts to be a little bit cute. And it's cute up until Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving tends to be cooler. Sometimes you can even get some snow on the ground, and then from there, it's cold all the way up until about April. In April, you can start. April is springtime. That's when the new year actually begins. It's very, very sad that people continuously fall into the idea that January is the beginning of the new year. And how could that be so when everything's dead? The trees are dead. It's raining, it's dark, and birth happens in the dark. So it's extremely important for us to recognize that birth happens in the dark. When you live in a place where that darkness is so prevalent, you tend to face seasonal depression. Now, seasonal depression is something that many people deal with. And it tends to happen during the cold months. This is when you have less sun. This is when there are shorter days. And during that time frame, you'll see that many people tend to deal with seasonal depression. So I wanted to talk to you guys about seasonal depression. What is seasonal depression? Um, Seasonal depression is a type of depression that is related to changes in seasons and begins and ends around the same time every year. And that time frame, like I was saying, was when fall begins and it ends when spring begins. Now, many people are kind of confused and they're like, well, how is there a disease that can be seasonal? And it really, what we go through is a reflection of our environment. What affects us is a reflection of what's going on in our environment. And seasonal depression is also known as winter depression. Some people even call it SAD or SAD, and SAD stands for seasonal affective disorder. And again, it is a reflection of not having enough sun. In the tri-state, you deal with a lot of fog, you deal with a lot of darkness, and they say, why are people in Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, why do they have such a bad attitude? You go through life with minimal sun. It's going to change how you feel about yourself. It's going to change how you feel about other people. It makes a huge difference in everything because the world is so dark right now. So imagine having to go through it in the darkness. So something else that people don't realize that they can do to, besides getting as much sun as possible, there are supplements that you can take. You can take vitamin D, you can take melatonin. A lot of it has to do with not getting enough sleep. So you can take melatonin, you can take ashwagandha. These are some of the supplements that you can implement around the time that seasonal depression begins. I would also say that you want to make sure that you're eating well, so a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. You're drinking enough water. Just because it's cold does not mean that you do not drink water. A lot of people do not drink water, and it's so unhealthy for you, and it affects all of your being holistically. If it affects your body, it affects your sleep, it affects your mood. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough sleep, you're drinking enough water, you're eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and I would recommend drinking tea. So you want to make sure that you're drinking about half of your body weight in water. So to many people, that will look like about 64 fluid ounces of water. And you can also have a cup of tea and include that inside your water intake if it's 1 or 2 cups of tea. You don't want the bulk of what you're drinking to be infused water with herbs. And you want to stay away from all those sugary drinks. Stay as much as possible away from dairy because dairy is actually linked to depression. The food that we put in our body, if you want to feel more alive, you have to eat more things that are alive. So take the time to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, seasonal. So that's going to look like cranberries, blueberries. You want to make sure that you're having fresh greens. You want to make sure that you're stewing your greens. So that looks like kale, collards, anything that is green, you want to make sure that you're increasing during this time. I would recommend as well, besides the supplements, vitamin D, ashwagandha, and melatonin, that you create your happiness. You want to make sure that you're creating your happiness. And the way that you can create your happiness is by being self aware. Do extra check ins with yourself. Have aha moments. The harvest season, which are the darkest months of the year, the last quarter of the year, that's the time frame that we're supposed to be doing a lot of reflection. That's the time frame that we're supposed to be allowing for ourselves to do a lot of introspective thinking. This gives us a space and the time to prepare for the new season in the spring and give birth to the ideas that we were brewing, that we were harvesting, that we were allowing our energy to do the planning process, to really do the faith process. And tomorrow, I will be doing a live about manifesting and how you can utilize attraction to get what you want. And a lot of that is in reflection to practice in solitude. Now, during this time frame, many of us are not allowed to have much solitude because this is the quote unquote holiday season. Now, this means that you may have to deal with a bunch of people that you don't always want to be around or that you may have removed yourself from. You do not have to force yourself to do anything that you don't want to do at any point, regardless of what holiday may be happening or not happening. You have to put your happiness first. And a part of putting your happiness first is finding out what makes you happy. What are some of the things that make you laugh? What are some of the things that you can do that can keep you in a cycle of happiness and positivity? So I would recommend that you do things that make you laugh, that you keep people around you that are going to support you through your happiness and pull you away from your sadness by redirecting and reframing your situations. Now, you may be going through seasonal depression, which means that you may be around other people who are going through seasonal depression as well. So I would recommend you practice self-awareness at all times because when you practice self-awareness, you can assess, okay, I'm sad because XYZ happened. I'm sad because I haven't gotten enough sun. I'm sad because I haven't been moving my body enough. Create habits that are going to contribute to you being in a positive cycle. Some of those habits could look like putting yourself on a schedule to wake up 20 minutes earlier before the time that you have to get up to get ready and prepared for your day, and include in your day's preparation meditation, praying, even affirmations in the mirror. You also want to make sure that you're getting movement in. Many people gain weight during this holiday season, not just because they have access to more rich foods, but also because they're not moving around. So allow yourself to take on a hobby that is going to get your body moving. When it is cold and chilly out there, we tend not to move our bodies, and that's natural. But you don't want to be like the bear in the cave and gain all this weight. And then when springtime hits, you're not comfortable in your body. You can't wear that bikini. You can't wear those shorts. You feel like insecure. You don't need to feel insecure. You can continue to be active. One of the ways that I am active is I started jumping rope. Something else that I do is I keep my Fitbit on and I make sure every day that I'm doing at least 7,000 steps. For whatever reason, 7,000 steps is considered to be an active adult, but I don't stop there. I make sure that I work out 2 to 3 times a week. You want to make sure that the food intake that you have is a reflection of your movement. If you are having a day where you're not doing that much movement, you want to make sure that you're drinking tea and you're drinking water, but maybe you should have a smoothie and do a salad a day that day instead of having a heavy meal when your body did not earn those calories. Now, one of the things I would recommend so that you can continue to be nutritious during this time frame is having your multivitamin on a daily basis, preferably non-GMO, and you also want to make sure that it is vegan. And then I would also make sure that you're having an additional vitamin C, that you're having at least 500 milligrams of vitamin C, because sometimes when we're not feeling good, we utilize that as an excuse not to move our bodies as much, which is very much so necessary because when you rest, your cells are able to build faster, especially when we're not feeling well. So you want to take the time to make sure that you are getting your body movement in, but that you also are getting enough sleep. Now, if things are keeping you up at night, moments of whatever happened to your day before keeping you up at night, take that time to think about what can I do better tomorrow that I can learn from today. So just take a reflection moment. It's okay to learn on the spot. It's okay to make mistakes. This is a part of your human experience. Another thing that you want to do is if you're not getting enough sleep, because that is a reflection of depression as well. And not getting enough sleep contributes to other things like weight gain and depression and anxiety. So taking those supplements like vitamin D will help you get more sleep. Ashwagandha is another really great one to help decrease your anxiety, to help support you with depression. Melatonin is another one, but I would say try to get like a 5 milligram melatonin. People who take 10 grams and up tend to feel a little woozy the next day, especially if you're not getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You may feel a little bit woozy after taking your melatonin. Or I would say take your 5 milligrams, but take it a little bit early when you're chilling in your house, sipping on your tea, relaxing, unwinding. And that's another thing that I would recommend. Take time to unwind. When you come home from your day, do not just go straight to watching TV. Do not just go straight, let me eat, let me get on the phone, let me do all these other things to trigger me. Take the time to come in from your house, create rituals, create habits that are going to support your transition process because you deserve to transition mentally, not just physically, because throughout our days, we tend to move, 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 move. Okay. So we want to have moments to relax. And I know being from the tri state, it took me a while to even understand that there's something as transitions and that people do transitions throughout the day. People transition from work to home, from home to work. Start accessing those other parts of your life by allowing yourself to relax. When you come home from work, boil up some water, make yourself some tea, take a warm shower, drink your tea, do your affirmations, reflect on your day, call somebody that makes you smile, watch a movie that makes you laugh, and start to get some of that energy off of you by stretching, by working out. Just tap into other parts of yourself. You want to make sure that you continue to allow your mind, body, and spirit to align. And in order for you to do that, you have to treat yourself as though you're deserving of that. And I say this all the time, you teach people how to treat you. Now, you don't want to be the reason why you cannot move to the next step. So start to learn yourself more on a daily basis. You grow and change every day. So make sure you're checking in with yourself and make sure that you're allowing yourself to grow and flourish. If there's a hobby or an idea that you have had that you're just sitting on, do not wait for 2023 to start it because that goes to show that you do not have enough faith in that idea or in that hobby or in that thing that you're interested in. Take the time right now to make a list and start the planning process, whether that means you're doing research, whether that means that you're reading a book, whether that means that you're reaching out to somebody that's doing something similar, or whether that means that you're reaching out to somebody that you can talk to in reflection to ideas that you trust. You want to make sure that you're allowing your time to be filled with things that are aligning you closer and closer to your goals. Now, to the person that is having a hard time finding goals, I recommend that you tap into your inner child. What are some of the things that you'd like to do when you were a child? What are some of those things that you have decided not to do because they were childish? Now, is there something in there that you could be doing now that can make you feel inspired? Do you like to paint? Do you like to dance? Is there something that you used to like to read? Why were you drawn to that book? What are some of the hobbies that you did while you were in high school and you felt like you were too old to continue to do them when you graduated and went off to college? Tap into yourself. Think about all the things that make you smile. What was your favorite color growing up? A lot of times you can reflect on your favorite color as a child, and you can look into that color and you can know what chakra needs the most influence right now as an adult. So reach out to me, comment below what you believe are the colors that you were the most drawn to. For example, if you were drawn to the color red, that is a reflection of your root chakra, and you may have felt like there was some times where you were not able to move forward with your creativity. There's other things for if it's green, that's going to be your heart chakra, where you're able to tap into the things that you're passionate about. So tap in, or maybe it's um your blue, color blue. So that would be your throat chakra where you felt like you weren't heard as a child. So I would recommend that you take the time to be able to express yourself to yourself. And if you cannot express yourself to yourself, again, solitude. Sometimes you have to take the time to allow yourself to learn and grow and be able to see what are the things that you need to be able to move forward. And I would say during this time, be honest with the people that you are around during this time. Do not be ashamed of what's going on with you. Allow for your spirit to kind of guide you throughout this time. And I say to allow your spirit to guide you throughout this time because we have that inner voice inside that sometimes we silent based upon what the media tells us is normal, based upon what people that are in our circle tells us is normal. But seasonal depression is real. And we should not cripple our growth by pretending that it's not something that's relevant. So I would say if you are in a place that is cold and dark right now, which most of us are because it's wintertime, right? And the winter time is going to continue on up until the springtime. And when the springtime comes, depending on where you are at, if you live in the tri state, for example, you're going to still be dealing with darkness and cold. So it's important to start evolving a plan that when you start to feel sad and you're like, why am I sad? Everything is going well. Or when you start to be a little bit down on yourself, or when you stop being kind to yourself, you have to have a plan to know when these things happen, I'm going to start tapping into my affirmations. When these things happen, I'm going to reach out to my mentor and say, "Hey, I have this idea and I've been sleeping on it. This is what I want to do. Can you help me?" You want to have those hobbies that you can have in place that you can do a pick me up on, because depression starts to evolve when we go in a cycle, and they tend to continue us on in a cycle. And I don't know if you guys remember that picture, and it's a picture of a circle and it keeps going on and on and on and on, and it almost looks like a hypnotist. When you go into seasonal depression, you tend to be almost in a hypnosis of sadness. And when you're in that hypnosis of sadness, you may be able to tap back into a cycle of happiness or a cycle of positivity when you have your plan. Now, I'm from the tri-state, so I am very fluid in seasonal depression. I lived in the tri-state the bulk of my life. And while I don't know if you guys can hear that, I need to turn that down. While I was living in the tri-state, I would face seasonal depression and not even know that I was facing seasonal depression. And the way that I realized I was going through seasonal depression was one day I was driving home from work and I was driving past tons and tons of southern snow. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is miserable. Like, it's so cold here. And for whatever reason, I started thinking like there's other places that are not cold. Like there's other places that there's sun. And I just put it out there. I want to move to the next step and I want somebody to pay for my master's. And when I put it out there, I was like, forget it. Let me just post this on Facebook. And at the time, I was not a big Facebook person. Now I go on Facebook to put content and go on live. Like I'm live right now on Facebook as well. Um, so during that time frame, I was like, I really wish I could finish my master's, but I can't afford it. And I would love to do it and be on vacation all day. And somebody that I went to college with saw that I put that and he reached out to me, hey, send me your resume. I think I got something for you. And less than 3 months later, I was moving to Miami. And during the time frame that I was in Miami, I lived in Miami for 5 years and I finished my master's and I realized how different life could be. Because living in the tri-state, the bulk of your year is in the darkness. The bulk of your year is cold. The bulk of your year is in the fog. And I'll say it again. So many people say people that live in the tri-state, and the tri-state is New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. A lot of people say that we are people that have bad attitudes. And you would have a bad attitude too if you're in the cold the bulk of the year. Because as soon as October hits, it's chilly. And that's when we got our leather jackets and our high boots on and our leggings. But as soon as Thanksgiving comes, at any moment, there could be snow. And I've been in snow that's taller than me. Like, it's really scary. And especially if you're a single woman, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're even if you're living on your own, it's freezing. You could get locked in the house for days at a time. Then you got cabin fever. So anybody that's living in a cool area, I feel for you because I did it and it's not the best time. Now, some people love the cold, but regardless, research shows that seasonal depression is real. And during that time frame, we lack sun. And when you lack sun, you tend to lose the vitamin D in your body or access to vitamin D in your body. And that's why it's important to have those supplements. So I would recommend vitamin D, ashwagandha, and melatonin. Melatonin and ashwagandha are going to be good for your mood. Those two supplements are good for your mood. So they help with anxiety, they help with depression, and they're natural for your body. I would recommend that if and when you decide to take a melatonin, that you take a 5 milligrams or less, and you take it when you're going to be stationary in your house and you're chilling and you're relaxing. You want to have a cup of tea with it. I know a lot of people like ashwagandha as well, and they take it very similarly. They are safe to take together. And I do not take ashwagandha and melatonin together. And a part of that is because I do eat pretty light throughout the day. I like to graze. And I don't believe that I have enough in my body to not just feel so sleepy like hours after. Because a few times I've taken ashwagandha and melatonin together, and when I woke up the next day after having 6 hours of sleep, I was still a little drowsy. So I would recommend you try one, see how that makes you feel. If you feel comfortable, reach out to your doctors. I always recommend you do your own research and come back and share the information because me being a full spectrum doula, I try different things on myself and then I recommend them based upon my research and the things that I learned through my nutrition certificate, through my own studies that I do, through my experimental clients that love to just try whatever I'm trying, my friends and my family. So I do recommend those things. I also recommend everybody look into black seed oil. That is good for your joints. It's very anti-cancerous. Black seed oil is essential, especially when you're working out and when you're in a cold area, your bones and your tendons still tend to be very stiff. So that black seed oil is going to be helpful for you. I would recommend if you take black seed oil that you take it 3 months at a time, take a month off, and then take it 3 months at a time again, because you want to make sure that your body is wanting it and that your body is able to utilize it and not become resistant to it. Okay, so just to go over some of the things that we went over throughout this, it's okay that you may suffer from seasonal depression. Many of us do. Now, what the difference is that you are knowledgeable about it. If you feel sad, it's okay to feel sad. What are you going to do about the sadness? It's okay to go through depression. We are humans, we have feelings. There are going to be things that we encounter throughout this human experience. You want to make sure that you reach out to a loved one because they may be going through the same thing. And this is not for you to, tap into each other with the negativity, but this is for you guys to support each other and to be able to help each other throughout this process. Hey, seasonal depression is real. I'm going through it right now. Okay, cool. Come over. Let's watch a movie. Let's pop some popcorn. Okay, no problem. Let's go to the gym. If you have goals, do not allow seasonal depression to stop you from making little baby steps for your goals. And those baby steps may look like you woke up this morning and you brushed your teeth and you washed your face. We have to give it up to ourselves for that because sometimes it's sad. Sometimes our days are long. Sometimes the fact that it's dark outside makes you feel like you don't want to leave your house. So give it up to yourself throughout those moments. You have to big up yourself. You have to continue to be your biggest fan and have honest conversations with yourself. Hey, I'm a little bit sad today. So I'm gonna make sure that I have that special tea that I like. I'm gonna make myself some tea. Or you know what? Tonight when I get off of work, I'm gonna watch my favorite movie and I'm gonna call my best friend that lives in Cali. You know, you wanna do those things for yourself and be vocal about it. It is okay. And especially now with many people's jobs, certain people have that built into their job where they have days that they can take for mental health. Utilize what you have access to, and knowledge is power. Ask those questions. Hey, HR, do we get a mental day? What days do I have? When can I use my days? Because what I've learned more and more, especially as a business owners take days. In order to keep your money flowing, you have to mentally be on point. And that's why many of us don't get out of our situations because mentally we do not serve ourselves. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up to pour in your own cup. So I would recommend you creating your own happiness. Creating your happiness is based upon you. What makes you happy? Spend time in solitude with yourself. Take 20 minutes every day to check in with yourself. You said social media is a great outlet overall. Okay. What I would say is that you have to balance because social media is triggering you all throughout the day and you don't have much control with what you're going to see in social media. And I always say be comfortable with what you consume. So that's going to include the food, the music you listen to, the people that you're around, the things that you expose yourself to overall. So I also recommend a lot of things come from the gut. So if you're dealing with anxiety and depression, tap into your diet. Eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. And I know people are like, oh, come on, but it's true because I used to suffer from seasonal depression. And sometimes I still tap into that and I'm able to remove myself from getting so far deep into it because I control my diet. And one of the things that I learned, and you need to learn what your blood type is so you can know what fruits and vegetables are actually going to feed your gut the way that you specifically need it. But I would recommend to start out with blueberries. Eat blueberries, beet juice. Beets are very, very good for anxiety and depression. A lot of people don't realize that our diet contributes highly to our mood and to our mental health. I would also recommend that you do a physical activity, get your body moving, those things, and find out what creates your happiness. What makes you laugh? What makes you smile? If you're not sure, do things that you're curious about. Surround yourself around people that you're like, hey, they're doing this and it's making them happy, let me try it. But be self-aware enough to walk away when those are things that you're just putting on as a mask, and practice that solitude to be able to say, hey, let me check in with myself, let me clear all my thoughts, and then move forward, because it's okay to do that. And have a buddy. Who do you trust? You know what I'm saying? Who do you feel comfortable talking to? Have that person that you check in with and say, hey, this is going on. How are you feeling? Okay, I'm a little bit down today. Let's go do something. Hey, Laquana, thank you for checking in. Let me know if you want to join the live. Um, but these are all things that you can do. Okay, that's a really good point. Thank you for that. Okay, so John is saying that social media helps step towards engaging with others, and that is extremely important. When we are facing seasonal depression, it is important to be able to interact with people. So that's a very interesting way, because for me, when I was deep in social media, when I was deep in seasonal depression, I really didn't want to be on social media, but I get what you're saying, that social media is a way, especially with something like TikTok, you can see people. But I also do believe that social media gives you a false pretense of socializing. So it is giving you a hands in, but it's not really giving you that one on one experience that we all need as human beings. So I would definitely, yeah, I understand what MDD is. Yeah, I definitely understand that. And I do thank you for talking about it, because it's extremely brave for you to do that. Because many people don't want to admit that they have depression. And two, many people do not take the step forward to find out what they are dealing with. So that's extremely brave. And I would ask other people that are watching this to be as brave as myself and be as brave as John, and really talk about it, because there's other people that are going through what you're going through, and there's strength in talking about what you're going through, because when we do that, we allow for ourselves to practice self-awareness, and then we're also able to receive help and support from other people. So I do thank you for being honest about that. Like I said, I would tap into my diet, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. The more things that you eat that are alive, the more alive you will feel. Try to get as much sun as possible. Being from the tri state, I know it is hard. When I moved to Miami and I was getting as much sun as I was getting, it was shocking to me how different my mood was. And then that combined with a based diet, of course, sometimes I do feel sad, but I have control over my mood and my emotions. So tap into those blueberries, tap into those beets. A lot of blue and purple foods will help that gut health, because the gut health tends to be a reflection of your mental and emotional health. So tap into that. Get your body moving. Create a hobby. Do you like to jump rope? Tap into that inner child. What hobbies did you like to do? Maybe you used to like to jog. Start jogging. Take a Pilates class. I don't, maybe a man may not be interested in that. I don't, I don't want to, try to be pushing things on you that you don't like, but try new things. Do things that make you laugh. Like I said, you being on here and you're saying that that's helping you be social, me, you are having this conversation, speak out and do more things like that, because your life experience is valuable. People can learn from you. And that's why I want to be vulnerable like this, because I know somebody who listening is like, "Oh, she's always smiling." But I had to grow into that. I had to evolve into that. That's not something that I just woke up, boom, because I used to suffer from seasonal depression on a daily basis. And another reason why I'm pushing that food and that diet on you is because when you're depressed, you tend to eat, you tend not to move as much, you tend to constantly sleep. And sleeping is healthy. Do not get me wrong. You should be sleeping every day, which is why I was recommending those supplements, vitamin D, ashwagandha, and melatonin, to help you get a restful sleep. Not just a sleep where you're tossing and turning and you're miserable and you're upset, but a restful sleep. That is extremely important towards depression and anxiety. So, my beautiful, beautiful tribe, I thank you all for tapping in. I thank you for being a part of my live. Special shout out to John for being open and honest with us. I thank you for that. And I wish you well to continue on a healthful journey in your mental health. And I wish that for everybody else watching. And I look forward to learning and growing and having more conversations with you guys moving